And I am sure that once you will watch this response, it will blow your mind.
It's very painful. He has hurt a lot of Ahmadis.
How far these people have gone to defend Mirza Ghulam Qadiani. Kanjar, Waladu Zina, Khabis, Badzat, Pleet, Ande, Dajjal, and so on and so forth. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. In the past 8 months of our interaction with the Ahmadi or Qadiani clerics, we have come across many weird responses and statements. And there's a pattern. It's getting worse and worse day by day. In today's video, we are about to watch and then comment on one such response by one of the clerics on a very important issue regarding Mirza Ghulam Qadiani. And with the best of my assessment, honestly speaking, what this guy is saying in this response, this is one of the most bizarre thing I have heard from any cleric on this issue. Here is the quick context. As most of you are aware of the unfortunate reality that Mirza Ghulam Qadiani had used very abusive, very provocative language against all his opponents in his writings. For example, calling them Khabis, Paleet, Badzad, Andhe, Dajjal, Waladu Zina, Kanjar. All of these are the titles Mirza Ghulam Qadiani has given to his opponents in his writings. In this video, this Qadiani cleric is telling us that what was the reason why Mirza Ghulam Qadiani was using all of this abusive language against his opponents, and I am sure that once you will watch this response, it will blow your mind. Let's watch and comment.
Adnan Rashid Sahib, the way he talk about our Nabi, it's very painful. And I want to mention that and want to give this message to Adnan Sahib that he has hurt a lot of Ahmadis, the way he talk.
Let's have a quick comment on this one. This was a Qadiani caller saying to the Ahmadi cleric, and he wanted to give a message to Adnan Rashid Bhai, and he was saying that the way Adnan Rashid Bhai talks about their Prophet Mirza Ghulam Qadiani, it's very painful for them to hear all of that, and it's really hurting the emotions of Ahmadiyya community. Mr. Qadiani caller and all the Ahmadiyya community, fear Allah and use the same standards. When Mirza Ghulam Qadiani, in his books, through his research, he was telling us that Ma'azallah, Sayyida Maryam Salamun Alayha, she was forced into a haram nikah. What about our emotions at that time? Why Mirza Ghulam Qadiani was hurting our emotions in all of those writings? When Mirza Ghulam Qadiani was saying that according to him, Ma'azallah, Isa alayhi salam was not stopping from drinking alcohol, Ma'azallah. What about our emotions at that time? When Mirza Ghulam Qadiani was saying that Ma'azallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not call Isa alayhi salam as hasuran or chaste because Ma'azallah, because of the prostitutes and drinking alcohol. What about our emotions at that time? Fear Allah and use the same standards. Let's now watch the actual bit in which this Qadiani cleric is going to tell us the reason that why Mirza Ghulam Qadiani was using abusive language against his opponents.
Hazrat Muslim Maud was clear that as Ahmadi Muslims, we will never use that language. It was only permissible for Hazrat Ahmad al-Asam as his Hakam and Adil status. We will not use this language. And he warned Ahmadi Muslims in his book Minhajut Talibin from using this language.
Did you hear that? This Qadiani cleric is telling you that Mirza Ghulam Qadiani had permission to use such an abusive language against his opponents. Why? Because Mirza Ghulam Qadiani was Hakam and Adil. Subhanallah. Who made Mirza Ghulam Qadiani Hakam and Adil? Allah. Then allegedly, who gave him the permission to use such a language? Allah. So this Qadiani cleric is telling you and me that when Mr. Mirza Ghulam Qadiani is using all of this abusive language, we cannot blame him. Why? If you want to blame Ma'azallah, go and blame Allah. Go and ask Allah, because Allah is the one who gave him the permission to use this language because he was Hakam and Adil. Subhanallah. Mr. Cleric and all Ahmadiyya community, fear Allah. Can you really convince your conscience that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give permission and license to one of his prophets to call his opponents Kanjar, Waladu Zina, Khabis, Badzat, Paleet, Ande, Dajjal, and so on and so forth? This is a lie upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can never ever allow and permit this indecency and immorality. Think about this. Prophets and messengers, they are the role models for their people. And this abusive and aggressive language, it is one of the main features, one of the main sunnahs of Mirza Ghulam Qadiani when he was refuting Christians, Hindus, and Muslims. How come that the second caliph has made it prohibited for all of you when they are prohibiting the followers of Mirza Ghulam Qadiani to use such an abusive language? It is a confession. They know in their heart that it was inappropriate to use such a language. But instead of acknowledging the fault of Mirza Ghulam Qadiani, they started to fabricate lies upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by saying that Maazallah, Allah gave him the permission to use such a language. Common Ahmadis, wake up. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide you to the light of Islam. Assalamu alaikum.